Just caught up on the Boruto manga, and honestly, not gonna lie, it's really nowhere near as bad as y'all make it seem like. I really don't know what I was expecting, honestly. Boruto is something that I was initially just watching and keeping up with because I literally went to the US premiere of the Boruto movie, right? When the character was first introduced. And as a massive fan of Naruto during its entire run, I even had a channel back in the day just covering Naruto manga. I felt like, it makes sense to continue reading or continue watching into the new series. And eventually I did fall off of watching the anime for, obvious reasons. Everyone kind of just agrees that the anime is not it. I don't really know when it was that I dropped the manga, right? Like when I stopped reading that entirely. But recently, just because of the fact that all my friends are always talking about it, I'm in a Discord chat with people like PS360 and other members of the Naruto community, and they're always just talking about Boruto, right? So I feel a little left out when that happens. And right now, with My Hero Academia on break for the next 2 weeks, I just felt like it was a good time for me to start catching up on a few different manga. So what do I think about the Boruto manga now that I've actually caught up with it? Honestly, I think this manga is fine. For the longest time, I've been trashing Ikemoto's art because early on in the series, it definitely was pretty awful, especially compared to the art quality that we were getting from actual Naruto. But I will say that Ikemoto has definitely stepped it up with the art in Boruto, with it looking way better now and actually just looking more or less acceptable compared to what he was giving us in the beginning, which just kind of looked like weird light novel art. It really wasn't fitting for the Naruto manga. And as far as the actual story of everything going on in Boruto, it did actually take me quite a while to warm up to the entire Otsutsuki plotline, because when those characters were initially introduced in Naruto, I just wasn't really a big fan of it, right? Like when Kaguya came in, I just kind of felt like it was the editor's way of getting Kishi to extend the series beyond where it naturally should have gone, right? I felt like they should have just defeated Madara, maybe had their fight, and it would have been over. And instead, you have the Otsutsukis come in and kind of massively extend this series all the way up until the point that it is now. So it took me a while to kind of just get over that. That's just kind of how business works and how business is. And as I've been reading the Boruto manga and seeing the Otsutsuki plotline evolve, and people tell me that there's more that happens in the anime, I'm starting to really appreciate these characters and appreciate how the Otsutsuki have kind of taken over the role of Jinchuriki and or Biju in the series of Boruto, right? Because in the original series of Naruto, you had this constant kind of pursuit and constant hunt for the different Bijus and the different Jinchuriki in the series. All these people that were holding tailed beasts inside of their body, much like Naruto. But now Boruto kind of flips that all on its head, and there's a whole new power system to go after based on defeating these godlike alien beings and the fact that someone who defeats a god can no longer just remain the same, right? And I like how that's a direct quote from the series, because that's just awesome, right? Thinking of a character who's able to take down a godly being, a heavenly being, and being forever changed by it, that's just raw. And I like how these villains literally leave their mark on the characters in Boruto and drastically change the events of the story for the characters that interact with them. And case in point with that is the whole thing going on with Boruto and Kawaki's karma. Now, I didn't know how to feel when we saw these new strange abilities being used in Boruto. It just kind of felt like, oh, okay, what's this? They're introducing something new. But karma did end up being something really, really interesting, and I've grown to really, really like the way that the markings look on Kawaki and Boruto. And it is very different from how things worked in Naruto. You have characters using ninja tools, there's all sorts of technology. Karma itself is this strange sort of like space technology that is also biological, and it just instantly gives characters the power to be stronger than anything we saw in Naruto Part 1. And I know it seems a little strange, right? When characters like Boruto and Kawaki apparently get to a level above Naruto and Sasuke, it seems a little ridiculous, but you gotta remember that Madara, his whole goal was to become an Otsutsuki and use the Moon Eye plan to take over the world, right? And part of that goal, becoming the Otsutsuki, is what made him so legendarily powerful at the end of that fight. So if there's any way for a person to just become a genuine Otsutsuki or get that power, you would see why they would level up so drastically and get so powerful. Hell, that's even what the Sage of the Six Paths technically did to Naruto and Sasuke at the end of the series, with both of the symbols on their hands kind of being like an earlier temporary version of karma. So with Boruto, there's the stuff that I feel like most people are in agreement with liking, like the whole Kara arc and dealing with Boro and dealing with all those different characters. That didn't feel as epic as dealing with the Akatsuki, but I don't feel like it was meant to, right? Like I feel like the real big bads in this and the real bad boys that we're supposed to be afraid of are the Otsutsuki. So so I didn't necessarily mind that all that much, and there is still value from having the Kara arc, of course, because you still have characters like Delta who carry on into the future. And that's one thing that I really do like about Boruto compared to Naruto. I feel like the usage of some of their auxiliary characters and some of the characters that sometimes could just fall more into the background in the original series is handled very well in Boruto, and there are actually some shocking turns and shocking twists that you wouldn't expect if you're a longtime Naruto reader coming into this series. The way that Delta is reused by the Leaf Village, the way that Ada comes over to help the Leaf Village and goes against Code, and everything going on of that, I just really didn't see that coming, right? I figured once you're a villain, you're kind of just a villain. I don't see someone as powerful as Ada and Damon coming over to the side of the Leaf Village. Now, it's really tricky because technically they're just on Kawaki's side, and Kawaki right now is kind of on a little bit of a rampage, right? So who knows how that's going to end up, and maybe they'll end up being against Konoha anyway. But I just really honestly enjoyed my read through and catching up, and I'm left with a lot of like intriguing plot points that I'm still thinking about in the series. And I feel like it's really good when I read any series and I have a lot of questions in my head that my brain just starts theorizing on. Like for me, one of the most interesting plot lines that I was following as I was reading the manga is the whole Amado plot line, right? Like what is going on with that guy? I'm glad I could finally start talking about this because I'm caught up and I know what's happening. But do we even really know what's happening? Like this guy knows way too much information. He's not exactly honest when he comes clean to Shikamaru and everybody, and there's still things that we don't know about him. And my brain instantly went to theorizing that Amado was actually the discarded body of Shibai, because there are a couple things that I noticed when reading over the chapters that he's in, like the fact that Ada didn't actually use her ability on Amado. He was just terrified, right? And we know that Ada's ability doesn't work on Otsutsuki's, but Ikimoto having Amado being terrified and kind of stunned on his own in that moment would be a good reason for him not to be moving and for us not to think about the fact that Ada didn't use her power on him at that time. There's also the fact that at multiple times, Amado and other characters have discussed that the ability of creating Shinjutsu abilities is more like a godlike ability, right? It's not something that's in the realm of humans. And Amado has tried to do several things now that he's claimed are outside of the realm of humans and are only in the realm of the gods. Like the fact that he was working on cloning his daughter. And interestingly enough, when he tells us about working on cloning his daughter, he says that he was already working on cloning technology. It's something that he was already into, so that raises a lot of questions as to why he was already doing that. Like what and who was he already cloning before his daughter had passed? Lastly, I find it really weird how the images that we get of Shibai Otsutsuki shows him as a figure with a goatee. And I know that Amado is an old man, so he is going to have a little facial hair and stuff like that just to kind of set him apart from some of the younger characters, but I do definitely find it a little odd or a little coincidental that in flashbacks, Amado does seem to have a very similar beard or a very similar goatee to the one that Shibai had, making me wonder if Amado himself is the discarded body of Shibai Otsutsuki. Like somehow he cloned the body or took over the consciousness of the body, or he's just what was left after Shibai discarded his body and went to whatever other realm that he went to. And I know that, yeah, Amado probably has white hair because he's old, but that could also just be a red herring. And what if he has white hair because he's actually an Otsutsuki? So that's just one thing that's really got my brain kind of like working in double time trying to figure out what's going on in Boruto. Also, everything going on with Boruto's visions for the future, and we did see a vision of Kawaki looking down at him when he was attacking him, and that did happen in the most recent chapter, right? But we've still yet to see the scenes of Mitsuki going sage mode, of Sarada finding them, of Shikadai and everything going on, and I'm wondering if those are actually scenes of them going after Kawaki like it seems like, or if they're actually going after Boruto for some reason. Like maybe Momoshiki actually does take over Boruto's body and he does somehow piss Mitsuki off. He does somehow fight Shikadai and his group, because it looks to me like those visions are from a first-person perspective, so I don't really know what's going on here, right? It's going to be interesting what's happening with Boruto as the next couple of chapters come out, because we do know that part 1 of the anime is ending soon. I think we only have like 2 episodes left, and it's probably going to end on the Boruto donut scene. So I'm wondering if when we come back after this 3-month hiatus, or however long it is, if we're going to just dive right into the prophecy arc and what's going to happen from there, right? Because you still really have no idea what's happening in this arc as it develops in the manga. Boruto did just get his scar, so we are thinking that we're heading towards a time skip at some point soon, but maybe Ikemoto has different ideas and he wants to flesh out a little more of the period in between when Boruto gets his scar and when he actually has that fight with Kawaki. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. We know that Sasuke still does have a fight in his near future, most likely, because Boruto does end up with his sword and entire outfit, and Sasuke told us that he might have to be the one to show his resolve next, so I do think we are working towards a very big climax. We already lost Naruto. I do think we're going to lose Sasuke next, and if you want me to talk more about Boruto and do more Boruto videos, because I'm caught up now and I'm genuinely interested in maybe doing them, let me know that by getting this video to 1,000 likes and telling me in the comment section below what you'd want me to talk about. Is there an arc in Boruto that you want me to just go over and recap potentially and tell the story of on the channel? Are there characters that you want me to focus on specifically? What do you want me to talk about when it comes to the series, if you do at all? And especially right now that my hero's on break for the next couple weeks, it just feels like a natural thing to do. So I'll see you guys later. It's Pineapple. I love you. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, I do a lot of anime content. I don't just cover My Hero Academia. We also cover JJK and various other things. You could search to the channel. And yeah, love you. Peace.